Today we're going to create an animated intro for our project using After Effects. So the first thing we're going to do is open After Effects and create a new composition. I'm going to make this composition 1920 by 1080, which is full HD, and I'm going to set the duration to about 10 seconds. And I'll hit OK. The first thing I'm going to do is go to my folder, which I've set up using the downloads, and I'm going to grab all of these pieces of the animation which I've created for you in Illustrator, and I'm going to drag all of these into my project. Now you notice when I first put them in the project, they are simply in a pile and it looks like a bunch of mechanical pieces, and I instead want to arrange them so that they look like an actual bird. I'm going to grab the wings and put them where a bird's wings should go. And there we go. Now, I'm going to animate this bird using what's called keyframes. And keyframes are what control the motion of an animation over time. So you'll notice that if I move the body of my bird, it moves all by itself. If I move a wing, it moves by itself. All the pieces are independent, but I want them to all move as one. So the first thing I have to do is set up parent-child relationships. So to set these parent-child relationships, I go under Parent, and I'll set all of these to be children of the body. Now when I move the body, everything moves along with it, just how I want. I can still control the individual layers individually, but if I move body, everything moves with it because it is the parent. So the first thing I'm going to do is set some keyframes on the wings, and I want these wings to rotate as if they're flapping. Now I could move this rotation, and the first thing you'll notice is that the wing is rotating around its center, and this is really not what we want because an actual wing would rotate around the joint. So I can move my anchor point by using this pan behind tool, and I'm going to move it right to the joint, and now when I rotate, it rotates a little more accurately. Now I can start setting my keyframes. Keyframes are what controls the motion of an animation over time. So I'm going to put my first keyframe right here at the beginning by ticking this little stopwatch. And then I'm going to go to about 1 second and set my second keyframe, and I'm going to rotate that so that it's up. And you'll notice that what happens in between the two keyframes is that the program fills in the animation so that it looks like that wing is rising up. Now, 1 second might be a little too long, and that's okay. I can simply drag this keyframe so that it happens a little bit quicker. What I want to happen next is for that wing to come back down. So I'm going to copy and paste the original keyframe and then back up. Now I have my keyframe set to go up and down twice. Now I want this to happen many, many times, so I'm going to select them all and continue to copy and paste until I have a nice long flapping wing. I'm going to duplicate the exact same steps on the opposite wing. And now I have a flappy bird. Now the next thing I want is to make this bird actually fly. So I'm going to go to my body, which is the parent and is controlling everything else. And I'm going to set some position keyframes. Now I'll start off, I want this to fly in for about 1 second, so I'm going to put my first keyframe there, and I'm going to go backwards in time to the beginning, and I'm going to drag my bird off the screen. And you'll see it has drawn a little path. And that's the path that this bird is going to fly to over time. I can make this path curvy by grabbing onto the handles of the path. And now you'll see my bird flies with a little bit of a curve. I also want to control the scale to make it feel like my bird is flying at me from further back in the distance. Now I have my bird done nicely. I want to go ahead and add some text, and I want to make this text fade into the screen. So I'm going to grab my text tool, and I'm going to start typing Duke TV. I'm going to choose a different font, and I'm going to make the Duke part white. And then I can position this however I want. And I'm going to set an opacity keyframe. And I want it to start fading in right about there. And that will be at 0. And then I want it to be 100% here. And you'll notice that if I make an adjustment in a spot where there's no keyframe, a keyframe will be created automatically for me. So I don't have to worry about setting a keyframe every single time. But I do want to make sure that I turn keyframes on before I start making changes. And then finally, I'm going to add a nice sky background to my scene. And of course I can change the scale and the opacity of my sky. And there we go. I've got a nice little Duke TV intro.